Hey everyone, welcome back, and today let's solve Leetcode problem 12 titled Integer to Roman, a classic problem on the Leetcode domain. So it says 7 different symbols represent Roman numerals with the following values. We see I maps to 1, V to 5, and so on and so forth, of M mapping to 1,000. So Roman numerals are formed by appending the conversions of decimal place values from highest to lowest, and converting a decimal place value into a Roman numeral has the following rules. So if the value that we're actually converting does not start with 4 or 9, we need to select the symbol of the maximal value that can be subtracted from the input, append that symbol to the result, subtract its value, and convert the remainder to a Roman numeral. If the value starts with a 4 or 9, we need to use the subtractive form, representing one symbol subtracted from the following symbol. For example, if 4 would be 1, or I, which is going to be 1 less than 5, which is V, and so we get IV. And 9 is 1 less than 10, and so we get IX. And only the following subtractive forms are actually used. We have 4 to be IV, 1 less than 5, 9 to be IX, 1 less than 10, 40 to be XL, 90 to be XC, 400 to be CD, and 900 to be CM. So only powers of 10, such as I, X, C, and M, can be appended consecutively at most 3 times to represent multiples of 10. And we cannot append 5 V's, 50L, or 500, which is D, multiple times. If we need to append a symbol 4 times, we need to use our subtracted form as defined above right here. So we're given an integer and we need to convert it to a Roman numeral using these following rules, or procedure steps, if you will. So in example 1, we have the input integer num to be 37449, and we'd output the following string. The reason why is because 3000 is equal to MMM as 1000 plus 1000 plus 1000, which is 3 M's. 700 is going to be equal to DCC as 500, which is D, plus 100, which is C, plus another 100, which is C. 40 is equal to XL as 10 is X, which is as XL because 10x is going to be 10 less than 50, and 9 is going to be equal to IX as I is 1 less or than X, which is 10, right? And 49, also you should note that 49 is not 1 or I less than 50 because because the conversion is based on decimal places, right? So essentially we're just breaking down our integer input num into its different units and actually converting those to Roman numerals and simply outputting that value or conversion to a string. So in example 2, we have the input integer num to be 58, and we'd output the following. Why is that? Because 50 is simply equal to L, and 8, the remaining value in the units place, is going to be equal to VIII. And finally, in example 3, we have the input integer num to be 1994, and we'd output the following because 1000 is M, 900 is CM, 90 is XC, and the remaining 4 that we have of this input integer is simply going to be IV. So with that out of the way, I will give you guys a few seconds to kind of just go over this problem in your head and think of a valid solution, and then I'll show you guys how I would optimally solve this problem in a few seconds. Okay, so to solve this problem efficiently, we're going to approach our solution by actually using a greedy algorithm, right? Where we effectively have to repeatedly subtract the largest possible value from the input integer num and add the corresponding Roman symbol after that conversion to our result. And we have to continue doing these operations until the entire input integer has actually been converted. Right, so we'll essentially have a main data structure where we use as a list of tuples, where each tuple is going to contain a number and its corresponding mapping of its corresponding Roman numeral. And we'll also maintain an empty list to store the Roman symbols as we actually generate them. And finally, we'll use a while loop to repeatedly subtract the largest Roman value possible from the input integer step by step as we boil it down in its corresponding unit values, right? So like I was talking about before, we'll have our val to symbol conversion. Okay, oops. And I've actually already copied and pasted a list of tuples that I already coded up before I actually started recording this video, because I knew that I wouldn't want to make you guys sit through me just typing out like 15 different tuples of me just copying these corresponding mapping of the values. Let me just copy and paste that right here. Okay, where again, pretty simple here. This is just simply creating a list of tuples, where again, each tuple is going to contain two items, the integer value and its corresponding Roman numeral symbol. And I think this should be syntax correct. Yeah, this should, okay. I feel like okay, let me just actually, val. Sorry about that, guys. This is just me kind of debugging my weird looking code here. Okay, I guess that's fine. Should be okay. If we get a syntax error, we'll look at it later. But anyways, kind of just to better explain what this does. For example, if we had like m, that would be mapping to 1,000. That means basically the number 1,000 would correspond to that Roman numeral string of m. And we also have this list ordered to be from the largest to the smallest values. So we can actually ensure that we convert the number in the correct way using that greedy approach, right? We have it to largest to smallest, or in decreasing order. We see 1,000 come first, then 900, then 500, then 400, and so on and so forth until we get 1 being mapped to I, or the string of I, rather. Right, and now we can actually instantiate our Roman list, right, where again, as we actually convert the input integer to a Roman numeral, we have to store each symbol in this list. And at the end of the function, we have to kind of just return the string join of these symbols in the list to actually form the final Roman numerical string, which is going to be ultimately what we return, right? So now we can actually start iterating through our val symbols tuples. So I'm going to say for value and symbol, two iterators, because I have pairs or tuples of length 2 in my val to symbols data structure. Right. Again, on each iteration, we have to get these two values, val and symbol, where value is going to be mapping to the integer, and symbol is going to map to the corresponding Roman numeral. And this is going to allow us to check every single Roman numeral that starts from largest to the smallest. Okay, so once we do that, now we have to say, while the number that we're looking at, while that's greater than or equal to the value. So as long as the current integer num is actually greater than or equal to the Roman numeral's value, right? And why is that? Because we have to subtract the largest possible value from num repeatedly until it's actually smaller than the current value in this iteration. So while that's true, we have to add to our Roman list, or Roman.append in Python, the current symbol. Right? And again, we have to add the corresponding Roman numerical symbol to the Roman list. And every time the value can actually be subtracted from num, we have to append the matching symbol to our list. And once we actually add its corresponding symbol to the Roman list, we have to subtract from our number minus equals the current value. Okay? Okay, awesome. And once we do that, once we actually subtract the current value from num, then we can essentially continue until num is less than the current value. So once we actually finish iterating through every single value in our val to symbols data structure, now we can simply return the string.join of nums. Because again, we want to output these symbols in an integer or string rather than a list. So as you can see, if I were to submit this, unless I made any syntax errors here, this should be accepted. Okay, let's see what I did wrong here. Okay, yeah, there should not be an S here. I don't know why there's an S here. Sorry about that. Now this should work. Let me try to submit this again. See what happens. Okay, let's see what I did wrong here. Probably have, I don't know where. Okay, there should be value. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Just me kind of debugging my horrible code here. But now I think this should be correct. And if I were to submit this, this should be accepted. Oops, this should be Roman. Okay, now as you can see, if I were to submit this, this would be accepted and this would be a valid solution. And it is pretty efficient. So for the time complexity of this code, this is going to be constant time, or big O of 1, and that's because the number of Roman numeral symbols and their values is fixed, right? There's only going to be 13 pairs, and even if the input number is actually very large, we'd only still have to go through the list of symbols a constant number of times, regardless of how large our input actually gets for any test case. And the space complexity is also going to be big O of 1, because we don't have to actually count the output string, right? We only store a fixed number of symbols in the Roman list, regardless of our input size, right? So if you guys enjoyed this solution and learned something new, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.